Hi, Brenda.
Hello.
Welcome to Extraordinary Moments with Anita. It's so good to have you here.
It's an honor to be here. It is an honor to be here, given what the philosophy about this is. It is an honor to be here.
Awesome. So your testimony is I don't even know where to start from. So I'm just going to give you just start. Tell us everything. You have things about your life, your marriage, your this, all that. Just if there's a way you can squeeze all of them in, please.
Well, one thing I share often, and with my children and with anybody actually, is that if I claim to be a follower of Christ today, it's not because of what I learned in church or at the mosque for that matter, or anywhere where formal religion exists, but because of my personal experiences with God and stuff He's done for me directly. Like my first experience of God doing something supernatural that colors my life. As a young child, as a 16-year-old in school, I remember I was the only biology student in my class, and we were learning evolution. And at that time, I was just finding my feet as a Christian. There was a time when they had these evangelical outreach to schools. And I'd given my life to Christ as a 16-year-old. And we're talking about evolution. So the evidence of evolution is clear. What are you telling me when I believe in the creation story? And in that moment, I went home and I'm like, God, why are you confusing me? And immediately he gave me, it literally didn't give me a passage. I opened the Bible to, I believe it's Romans 1 or 2, which spoke about how the creation was made clear to mankind, and they twisted that knowledge. And I don't remember exactly the passage, but that was my very first encounter of God speaking to me directly to answer a problem. And it's happened to me right through my life, where it doesn't matter what I've gone through, I go through it with the kind of peace, indeed, that the world doesn't understand, because He's always on the other side making it fine. One of the most profound things that has happened to me, that could happen to anybody, anybody, not just a woman, but anybody, to lose a child. And my late daughter Amarachi, we lost her in April of 2013. It was a drowning accident. And it happened, we were at a family do, friends do, and we'd had the children stay inside the house while the adults were outside where the barbecue was happening. And I just heard my daughter scream, Francesca, she screamed, "Mommy!" And I ran in direction, and I saw my baby floating on the pool, and I had to jump in. And
How old was she?
She was 3 years and 5 months. And her twin brother was stood there.
Oh, she was a twin?
Yes. Ben, my son Ben's twin. And I held her up, and dear friends of ours took her, and they tried to resuscitate her. The ambulance came and took her away. Now, in that moment, you would think, why? Why, God, why would you let this happen? And immediately the thought came, the not a beat after, the question that came with it was, why not me? Who am I? And many a time I've been able to put my life in perspective. Around the same time, we just moved to, this happened in Doha, Qatar. We just moved there from Egypt. And so the Mubarak family also had recently lost a 3-year-old. I'm like, it happens. And it might seem like as if it's a cold way of looking at it, but not too long before then, in Egypt, I had this spiritual encounter, I would say. I was sat on the potty, and I felt like warm oil was spilled over my head. And from out of nowhere, it said to me, there's nothing that the feeling was, nothing that I have that I can't let go of. Nothing material that I have that I can't let go of. And since then, I've lost jewelry, moved countries, lots of losses of material things that don't impinge me. But what definitely could impinge me is the loss of my child.
Yeah.
And in the moment it happened, I was able to turn to the devil. I said, "You're still not going to get me away from God. You still and
You can take everything away from me, but
even that is not going to turn me away from God." And God had given me a gift prior to that incident happening. I'd had when I found out I was pregnant with my twins, at the 7 week scan, it was a single sac.
Oh, wow.
A single sac. And then at the 13-week scan, it was two little babies, and I was the one who noticed it on the ultrasound, and they were intertwining. So the obvious thought was that they were identical twins. It was an identical twin pregnancy. And right through the pregnancy, I just had this belief I was having boys. And one night, and it's like, as I speak of it today, it's like as if I had this dream last night. One night I dreamt of my little boy, my baby. Well, when he was a baby, now he's a big 16-year-old. He was laying on like on a stage, and there was like stage lights, and on them there's just two little boys. And then out of the blue, I just saw two hands giving me a swaddled baby. In the hands. I couldn't see it was just
this was the dream, right?
This is the dream, this embodied dream, and there's this little baby, and I said in my language, "Fiona, you self day?" I'm like, Fiona, you're there too? So I was like, am I carrying triplets? And anyway, when it came to delivery time, the first baby delivered was Amarachi, and it was a girl. And the first thought that came to my mind at that moment was hair. Because Francesca, my daughter, my older one, she's got so much. I'm thinking, I'm going to have 3 girls with all this hair to do. And then only to deliver a baby boy that looked exactly like the baby that I had in the scene of the dream. The ones that were laying down. Because Fiona was the one that was just given to me. Anyways, I'd made up in my mind when I was looking for names part of the delivery, for names that I wanted that had meaning. So I come across Amarachi, which means God's grace. So when it came to the time for losing her, I got that dream again.
Oh.
That dream came back to me. And it was like, okay, that he was just lending her to me, and he's taking it back.
Oh, wow.
And so that was part of what helped comfort me through that moment.
Kind of made it easier for you to let go, right? Can imagine how
well only for the grieving part of it.
Of course.
Only for the grieving part of it. Now, a quick one with respect to why my children are called Amarachi and Tafari, not Sierra Leonean, because my little claim to fame, I would say, I was in the first season of Project Fame. Okay, I represented Sierra Leone, and whilst I was in Nigeria,
that was huge then. I remember.
Yeah, so I was in the first season, and when I was there, I came across some lovely people, and they pointed out to me the impact of having a name that's the declaration over your child, the power of it, the meaning of it. I'm like that, and so that sat with me. So when I got pregnant again, by then I'd had my Francesca. When I got pregnant again, I decided to get names with meaning.
Yeah, even in the Bible, God had to change certain names. Abraham to Abraham, Sarah to Sarah.
Exactly. My son his name is Ben Tafari, and that the name Ben is an homage to my father. But the full name from my grandfather is Benoni. Some call it Benoni. But it means son of sorrows. Okay. And I wasn't going to call my son that. So that's why, and the Tafari is an Ethiopian. I don't know exactly which of the tribes of Ethiopia, but it's an Ethiopian name that means he who inspires all. So that's how come my son is called Ben Tafari. Thank you. And so that's why I have that. So Nigeria influenced me in naming my kids like they did. So that's just the aside I wanted to share. Now, you mentioned about being set free. Mind you, now I have my two surviving children, and my daughter Amarachi is buried in Doha. I'm not Qatari. I don't have the possibility or the right to go in and out of Qatar. So when it happened, I thought that whatever it's going to take, I'm going to have to stay in Doha, in Qatar, because I don't want my daughter to feel like as if I left her. However, I did get another amazing, miraculous encounter. There was a year, my daughter, my older one, she was attending boarding school in Nigeria. So I think she was like 12 years old at that time. She lost her sister when she was 6. So before she traveled, I thought it was about time that she went to know her sister's grave for the future. And so we went with her and the twin brother. We went there. So going in, this place has a padlock and the key that locks the gate into this massive space, this cemetery that's set aside for non-Muslims in Qatar. We went there, but it's like an honor system. So the key is put on a key ring that's a makeshift key ring made out of a metal string, and it's twisted, right? And the key is a Yale lock. So the key's on there and it's hung at the top of the massive gate. So you take it off, you open the padlock and you go in. And it stays in the padlock until you lock it before you can take it off. So we went and we had our moment, then we came back out. Now, what my daughter did for me, what I believe God allowed her, I don't know how to put it, but freeing me from Doha, when we came out of the gate, the key ring, which I brought with me, was on the ground.
Oh.
It's a metal wire thing that was twisted around that you cannot see how it's open. I wish I bought it, I could have shown you. You can't see, it's not, it didn't come apart, and there's no wind was blowing.
So how did it fall?
There you go. It's completely supernatural. And we have that as a token of my Amarachi being with us. So I have that wherever I go. And that's another supernatural experience that I've had. Through life, I had a difficult marriage.
Tell us about that.
To put it mildly. Now I don't want to, let me say comfortably. I don't want to.
You don't have to mention names. You can change names, of course. Yeah. So feel free.
It's one of those things where you would say, oh, after the fact you're saying you were not in love. I wanted to be in love. Unfortunately,
all right. There are many people who are married now. They were not in love, so it's okay. You'll be the first.
No, and I got married at age 31. I was told it was one of those things. Oh, Brenda, you're old enough now. This person has liked you for a while, and he's a good guy. And blah, blah. The biggest mistake I made in my life, insofar as the reason I married this man was because he was a Christian, not because what he had to offer materially or in any other fashion,
and not because you were in love with him at the time.
Not because of me with him. I made up my mind to love because I believe love is a decision.
Yes.
And I also believe that if it was something both of us wanted to work towards, it could be something that could work. What we had in common was music. He's extremely talented. He's a multi-instrumentalist, and that's one thing I cannot take away from him at all. And he's the one person who he can transpose songs into the key I sing. I sing in an odd key. I don't know how, but this is me. But he can, any song I want to sing, he could just listen to it and transpose it. He's very talented, and he plays lots of different instruments. And he's a great music educator, imparts it really well. So that's what we had together. And we performed together. But on the personal side of things weren't good. And there are a lot of things to him that I would rather not put out there. It's not for me to share. But the marriage wasn't a happy one. It wasn't a good one. In the end, things happened that made it totally irredeemable. And I'm of the mindset that marriage, in fact, I actually used Malachi 2:13 Malachite was different parts of it to convince myself to stay, that marriage is not for my happiness. It's for the raising of godly children. That's what kept me there. But when it got to the point where it would have resulted in the children being impacted, I didn't want them to grow up believing such a person was an example of a Christian father, a Christian man. And me putting up with the things that were being forced upon myself and on them was okay, because it would impact their lives going forward. So I had to make that decision, and certain things happened that forced a separation of him from us.
Okay.
And at that time, he was like, okay, pack your bags, we're going. I'm like, bro, no, sorry, no. At that time, God has been so good as to have provided me with a good position that I was able to take care of my kids.
At work or your career?
In Qatar, in my work, in my job. And really well, and we lived pretty well. Unfortunately, following that, a whole bunch of negative things have happened, and he chooses not to be in his children's lives.
He chooses not to be in his children's life.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and the stories that have been perpetrated out there, I know that truth always comes out, you know, and what's done in the darkness comes to light.
Always.
And so many a time, I guess there are those around who have wondered why and how I've stayed like this. I've just been focused on putting one foot in front of the other and providing my children with the best life I could on my own. And God has been so, so, so merciful. He provided excellently well to make my kids upright. Both of my children are doing great now.
Awesome.
We do have some issues that we're still having to handle, and I think it's been a journey. It remains a journey where God, as he promised me in his love letter to me, Isaiah 54, I call it his love letter to me. The entire chapter talks of all the different things that happened, but he promised me something, that he would teach my children and great shall be their peace. He told me that he would be the husband in my life, and he's provided, he's established my foundations with jewels and all kinds of wonderful things. And there's that passage that tells you, 54:17, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. He's in charge of it all. And that has been something that I've held on to the entire time. And as we stand today, my son is an excellent student. When right through the time we were in America, he was on the principal's honor roll, which is all A's, and he left with a 4.5 GPA.
Awesome.
My daughter, she got a scholarship into University of Maryland, Baltimore County, to do mechanical engineering. Now, our circumstances in the US made it such that we had to leave. Now, if anybody had told me in January of this year that we'd be in Canada, I'd have said, you for what?
Are you out of your mind?
No, because circumstances have had us move more times than I've wanted to. And I do get irritated by the question, oh, Brenda, why? I'm like, do you think I want to? Who wants
to just woke up and say, oh God, today I'm going to move?
You know what I mean? And I'm grateful for all the hands that have touched my life and assistance that God has used to bless me and my kids. But I don't expect anything from anyone, because everybody has their own burdens. So I'm not going to say, oh, these people or that person didn't help out. It's not the case at all. But I didn't have the kind of support that would have made it possible for me to be settled in certain places with 2 children. And again, everybody has their own wahala. They have their own burden and their loads. I can't expect them to take care of mine. Now, who's supposed to help me out is my immediate family and their father. Well, I don't have the luck of either sources, my immediate family, for other reasons that I'd rather not get into. Now, I don't have their support, and then their father is not supportive. So I have to do and move around as best as possible to keep my children upright and myself upright.
Yeah.
But trusting God has been everything. Now, and this moment that we speak, the icing on the cake of what God has done just happened for me and my children. I decided that we had to leave America when they started talking about the different things that were coming down the pipeline. I thank God for foresight, and I get prescient dreams. And so I knew that we had to leave. And we just waited out my daughter's graduation from high school. And that was in May, but I'd been making my plans prior to that. I had to stop work and a whole bunch of stuff that had to go into play. Put my stuff in storage, and a dear friend of mine, I came with her to Canada. When I made the decision to come to Canada, I didn't think beyond just getting to the border of the United States and not be arrested and detained and put in detention and all the horrible things that's happening to families and people in the US. That was all I was working on. I didn't know what was on the other side of getting here, and I didn't care. I just knew that at least we could seek, protection in this country, and what comes after that would come after that. That's all that was on my mind.
Yeah. Just trust God.
Just trusting God, literally blind faith, blind faith. I had no concept of what was next. Now, when we left Maryland, I had thought we would go to Saskatchewan. And that's because my daughter's best friend from school in Nigeria, her and her family are in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
So I thought,
At least so you have some kind of family or somebody you could, I think to go there because of them, so that you can have.
It's not necessarily for my own personal feelings, but for my kids.
Yeah, I know.
To have some kind of connection with whomever and whatever. So we arrived here at the beginning of July, and the next day we were at the border and we were being processed, and I called a dear friend of mine, dear friend of mine, Claire, and I will say this anywhere I go: if God made me anything when I left my marriage and stayed in Qatar, God used Claire in a massive way to help me get on my feet and be strong enough to take care of my children on my own.
Awesome.
And so
God bless her.
God bless her. God continue to bless her. So got to the border. I'd called my friend that was going to see in Saskatchewan, and I just called Claire. I said, guess what? I'm in Canada, because I knew she was in Canada. I'm sure she told me where she was, where she lived, but I hadn't paid attention. So she goes, where are you? And I told her where I was. She goes, oh, I'm in Hamilton. Come to Hamilton. I'm like, this is Hamilton. and realized it was a lot closer from where I had arrived than Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan was 4 days drive away. And Claire was like 2 hours away from where I was. I'm like, okay. And coming here has been such a massive manifestation of God's grace in my life, for me and my children. Massive. In a heartbeat, since we've been here, we've gotten our own place. Even before we were able to retrieve our things from a friend, from our things that I needed from the US, all the members of Claire's church, Claire and her husband Fidel, they have a church here, Mountain Springs. That family church just took us in, and the love and support has just been massive, out of this world. Oh my goodness. And our place was furnished. In fact, where we are, which we absolutely love, was found by one of the church members. They were sending me, contacts and links, and we got this one place, and it's just perfect and ideal. And they helped with donating this, donating that, and before you know it, you wouldn't
set up.
You wouldn't believe that we are new to Canada.
Yeah.
Everything, and the school that my son is able to go to is, he can walk to and from school, and I had thought that my daughter was going to feel bad about not being able to start her university doing engineering, which she had done well and gotten into to get with the scholarship for that matter. But she needed more than that scholarship to complete what she was going to stay home, and so it would have been sufficient. But anyway, being here now, I was worried about her mental state, about not starting, only to discover she was relieved. She didn't want to do engineering.
Oh my goodness.
She's into writing, and I'm like, what do you mean writing?
What?
I've never seen, what you talking about?
And she never discussed that with you before?
Never. And
Oh my God.
why do you think I wouldn't want to know this? Because I also found along the way, my kids have been very protective of me.
Oh yeah, because of what you've gone through, and you don't want to
and
add
they
more.
realized it. So, and so she was just going along not to rock the boat. And it was a very tearful time, and she showed me what she could do. It's amazing. Wow. Amazing. And so she had accepted to take the
blessing
gap.
in disguise, like
Big time. Absolutely. And so this year she's happy to do the gap year of discovering herself and all that. And just watching my baby become the woman she is becoming has been such a massive, just a huge blessing. And I think she's a good person. She's not nice. She's good. She doesn't suffer fools gladly.
oh my God.
She wouldn't put up with the things that she thought I put up with, and she would give me her reasons why and all that kind of stuff. And so there are times I try to temper her militancy in a manner of speaking, and but I'm also very proud of the fact that she's strong in her beliefs and what she stands for. And I'm grateful for that, because so I was worried about how her mental state would be, not being able to go to university when all of her classmates were and all of that kind of stuff. And since I've come to Canada in a really short time, I got my work permit, I got a whole bunch of stuff that my friends are saying, Brenda, you don't understand.
A lot of people wait for years to get that, and you getting it in just...
I got mine in 6 weeks
of
arrival.
Wow, awesome.
And a whole bunch of things that God has put in place, a lot.
Let me take you back to, I wanted you to share some things within the marriage. I know there's some things you don't want to share, but because I know that there's some people who are married right now and who are Christian, some not Christian, and they're having issues right now, similar things that you've gone through, and they're just struggling, wondering how to get out of it. Is there something remarkable, unique, like a really huge challenge in your marriage that you would like to share? Just so that's...
Infidelity was the currency of the day, and there was absolutely no love. And I do believe, and it's not a matter of saying you love, because that was said, but the action, love is a decision, love is an action.
Yeah, it's not just words that you say, and then
there was blatant infidelity that even the children caught.
Oh my God.
Because of certain people that was involved. And
this is a Christian.
And this is a Christian.
Which even makes it hard to accept.
And this is and I said the only reason I married him is because of his Christianity.
And now you stripped that away from me, so I have nothing.
He's not. Let's not talk about any other things, but he didn't have any of the other stuff that you would get married to somebody for. That's not why I got married. He didn't have that. I got married because he's a Christian. So I'm telling everybody that there's no formula. It is but for the grace of God.
Yeah.
Anybody who comes because they're Christian, they are a pastor, be fearful. This man, I used to call him a walking Bible.
Wow.
You just said a passage and he could give you the book, chapter and verse.
What?
That's how much he was into. He is. He's still to this day, but he had a side to him that he hasn't been able to let go of. He's very disciplined about having his quiet time. In fact, he went so far.
Quiet time with God.
Yes.
How do you have quiet time with God and you still go commit infidelity? Like you still go cheat on your wife? How does that work?
Okay. Not only he'll finish his quiet time and the next screen that is on his laptop or whatever his device is unspeakable. That was how bad it is.
What on what?
Yes.
What's unspeakable?
The kind of stuff he would be watching,
like pornography and
absolutely. And not only that, we were living
Sorry, I'm trying to. Forgive me, I'm just trying to understand or assimilate what you're saying. You just finish quiet time with God and then you're watching pornography.
Yes. I'm not unique.
Yeah,
I'm not unique.
And that's why we do what we do, because a lot of people would think that, oh, I'm the only one.
No.
And for this one, what it's your husband, right? There's some people, it's their wife. And they're wondering. And some of them don't want to speak it out. They don't want to say it out because it's almost unspeakable. How do you say that we just came back from church, we just finished having quiet time, and the next thing my wife or my husband is masturbating or is watching pornography? And so a lot of people are dying in silence because
that is the loneliest place. It's the loneliest place.
Nobody wants to say it. That's why I'm happy that you're doing that. But,
okay, the reality is the people are hiding behind religion, behind their faith. When the whole world sees this person, and the home sees this person, and when wives and husbands continue to help them through masking the problem,
that's the thing,
masking it, then you end up with a situation where you have so much abuse in different manners happening within families. And I knew I wasn't going to put my children through that.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to put my children through that. Bottom line, this person was having an affair with our nanny. And he would leave our bed at 2 in the morning.
I used to hear of that, but I used to hear that happened, but this is me seeing it.
Oh, yes, it happens. And the girl changed in front of me. She used to be very modest in how she dressed. And suddenly she'd be wearing...
Because she's competing with the madam of the house, of course.
She was my co-wife now.
Yeah, exactly. She's your
so
co-wife.
When I decided the marriage was over, I wasn't going to be doing... She's Indian. She will be cooking him his jollof rice, cooking him palm oil stew. I remember once I came down one morning and... because we pack a lunch for the kids to go to school, and 2 tangerines had been peeled, and I'm like, why would you peel tangerines for the kids? What do you want? Like, you don't need to spoil them like that. No, she peeled it for Bossman, but that's their business.
Yeah.
So I just knew.
You knew that was happening, and you stayed.
Yes, I stayed.
In the same house.
Yes.
He was sleeping with her and you... Okay, sorry. I'm trying to go out. I'm trying to control my emotions.
Because there's nuances in life. First of all, we are, as far as our network was concerned, in the middle of nowhere. We are in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's got nowhere to go.
Wow.
I can't take care of my kids by myself. And again, the erosion of that respect and love had been happening over time. So it wasn't new by the time we went to Qatar. It had been happening since the beginning of the marriage. So by that time, there was no respect, nothing left. So it's like, basically, you do your thing. And I told them, in fact, when certain things happened where my son was trying to rationalize, and he was a 4-year-old, rationalize things. And he said to me, now I understand why Auntie Rani kissed Daddy. I'm like,
oh my goodness! Yes.
That's what happened. I'm like,
In front of his son.
so that's one part, and exactly. And then another time I was doing my daughter's hair, and she was crying. Why does Daddy love Auntie when he doesn't love you? Why does he tickle her? He doesn't tickle me. So that was happening, and so I had to.
So he was doing these things in front of the children.
Yeah, okay. And you see, like now he's spread the narrative of me blocking him from the kids. I don't want my children to grow up and turn around and say, "Oh, Mommy, we don't have a relationship with our dad because of you."
Yeah.
And then lose my children through that. So I have never, ever, ever come between them and their dad. Okay? And that was a decision I made for me. And believe you me, I have no ill will towards this man. I'm just relieved not to be with him anymore. Completely.
I mean, you can't keep suffering all that and sit down.
And there was no sweetness, no joy, nothing. Nothing in that. And my son is a spitting image of his dad. It's a spitting image, only the skin complexion is different. And I didn't know that laughter was genetic. My son laughs like his dad. And the last time he was around that man, he was barely 5 years old. And for 11 years, he hasn't been around his father, but he laughs like he has his mannerisms.
Your son is how old again?
Now?
Yeah.
He's 16.
And the last time he's been with his father is 5.
When he was 5.
Sorry. How? Why? Because you said you did not, what was the English word you used again? You did not come in between them, so he had access. So how is it that he?
But then he tells them that because it's an easy narrative, or the divorced wife, the
So
wife is
were you in different countries?
We were in different countries. When he initially had to leave Qatar because of issues he had there, the reason when he had to leave, he came a couple of times. The first time he came, he was quite standoffish towards me, and I was like, bro, we're in this until the last one is 18. So at the very least we can talk. And I thought it was quite a positive interaction we had, and we were communicating on social media, or Viber at the time, Viber, WhatsApp. And he left that time, and a month later he came. But his actions were so odd. He only spent 20 minutes with the kids, only for me to find out much later he took pictures with the kids and whatever. And like, when I went and picked them up, he had a fight with me on the phone, and I had to go pick them up from where he'd said I should drop them. It was my pastor, or our pastor at the time. And not knowing he was trying to build a case, he's saying he's afraid of violence. I'm like, what are you talking about? But anyways, let the kids see them. So we took them over to the pastor's house, and he was only with them for 20 minutes, and then he left. I went to the kids, it's like, 20, what is this
20
about?
20 minutes, what's...
So Francesca, what did he bring for you? Nothing. At the time he had to leave Qatar, so he was in the UAE. And so he came, and he brought nothing for the kids. I'm like, so what was the point? He had been coming to visit this girl that was the nanny.
Oh.
Okay. In fact, one of the things that made the marriage broke up at the time it did, he had assaulted me, and so he lost his job. Okay. My little baby boy at the time said something at work, and that got him into trouble. And not knowing he'd been facing other issues at work.
Oh, yeah.
That's for him.
All that compounded.
All that
he lost his job.
So that's why he lost his job, and he knows that. But he tells people that, oh, when she got the job in an oil and gas company, that's why, she ruined my job. And for anybody who listens to that mess, it's like, if you're convinced that I'm mercenary enough to want to hurt him because I have a good job, fool you to imagine that I don't want to eat half of his and all of mine. Why would I, and all the kinds of stories he carried. And there were those who chose to believe him, and I believe also people who wanted to believe worse about me because of their own issues with me, and that's their problem. And so when he lost that job because and he'd been coming to see this girl. So when we moved out, the day I was moving out from the house that we were all in to the place my company had provided for me, because he had been asked to leave the country, I was going to go with my nanny, of course. I was going with my nanny.
The same nanny?
I beg. That nanny is the one who was supposed to look after my child who drowned. And I still didn't get angry. Because...
The same nanny he's sleeping with, you're supposed to go with the nanny.
Who's going to help me look after them? She's been my co-wife for a while. Forget. I need help. And that's who my kids had gone through a lot of loss. And I didn't care. Like I told you, the emotions had been killed. You know, when they talk about grieving this, I'd long grieved the marriage while I was in it. So there was no emotion, no feelings left by the time everything fell.
You knew she was sleeping with your husband, and you were moving to a new house, and you're going with her.
Because I need help with my...
No, nobody else could help? No, you can't get a new nanny?
My kids had lost too many people. I didn't want to change. But it's okay. Look, mind you also, I'm in an environment where polygamy works. And so I had to, let me tell you something. When you go through certain kinds of traumas, you find ways to cover the wound. I'm not saying heal.
Just cover it.
Yes, band-aid the wound. Because I don't have anybody coming to help me take care of my kids. I can't afford to have that. I'm not going to change the whole system. Look, I'm barely getting by now.
Who was paying the nanny? You were paying the nanny or he was paying the nanny?
At that time, it was still him.
Okay.
And so she was supposed to come with me. And then you, of course, wasn't going to continue paying her, which was fine by me. And by then, I'd gotten a job. A decent one. And so when we were leaving, she went over and she was whispering. Okay, in fact, he said to her, "Are you going with them?"
Oh my God.
Are you going with them? I had somebody who was, with me to support me and the kids. And the lady was like, "What?" And not only that, as we were leaving, the nanny went over to him and they were whispering. And anyway, long and short of it, we went. And this girl insisted that she had to leave within a week of us moving when I needed her, not least because we moved much further away from where the kids were going to the school where he was working. And it would take a while for me to switch them to another school, right? So I needed somebody who would be in the taxi with them to school and back and all that kind of stuff. That's why I needed to have somebody still with me.
How can you trust such a person? Anyway, I'm sorry, continue.
You trust them if you cared about that. I didn't.
Okay, continue.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
So anyway, she insisted in leaving because she was going
1 week
to go,
after.
Yes, going back to Hyderabad. I said, "Look, stay. My sister was coming to visit. Just stay until then." And then the vacation was happening, and the kids would have changed schools by the January, so it would have been an easy thing for me. She insisted on leaving, not knowing she didn't leave the country. She went back to him. So
she had told you she was leaving the country.
Yes.
But she didn't. She went to him.
And things didn't work out. I guess he was still mad at her for even daring to come with us.
You.
Yes. And then I know it sounds ridiculous to me. I just lived it, right? And then she was in Qatar for at least 6 months after that, from what I learned. But I don't care. And you had people who were supposed to be my friends who sided with them, and they would tell me, one told me, "Oh, I'm trying to sully my nanny's reputation." I mean, who knows her?
They knew what he was doing, what the husband was doing with her, right?
They didn't believe me. They chose to believe him and her. Okay. And they called me names and all. Anyway, long and short of it, a lot of stuff was made clear for me at that time, and it doesn't bother me. It's like weeding out the weeds from my life, basically. So when my sister did come, I invited all of these friends of ours that came to my house, and the gentleman, the husband came over and said, "Brenda, oh, you guys haven't paid Rani, I'm like, "What do you mean? She's still here?" That's when I knew she hadn't left. What do you mean? Apparently, that's when I knew she'd gone back to my ex. And whatever happened, he refused. And I had given her what I was supposed to give her anyway.
It's none of your business anymore, so.
Yeah, I did pay her, for the time she was with me. And so he went back. And anyway, that was happening. And it continued. So when he would come to Qatar saying he was coming to the kids, that was who we were spending time with. Wow. So that time he came and was there for just 20 minutes with the kids. That's who we were spending time with.
Wow.
Yes. And he still had his the ability to enter Qatar because his company was kind enough to keep his sponsorship open because of the kids, to keep the kids covered. Okay?
But then he was now misusing it.
He was misusing it. But he couldn't misuse it too much because when you are under sponsorship, anytime you leave the country, you have to get what is called an exit permit. And they wouldn't be giving him that. So I think he did a couple of times and he couldn't anyway. So long and short of it, eventually, listen to this, the cruelty of this man. When I got my sponsorship finally got cleared, because whilst it was in the process, I was safe, I was fine. But the kids were in jeopardy and they had to be under the children, the father's sponsorship. And then once mine was found, they'd be transferred to me and his would have been cancelled. So his company had made him sign all the necessary documents. All was necessary that was left was the physical resident permit card itself that he had to submit. When it was time and his company asked him, he said no. He sent an email, I hadn't been nice to him. So he wasn't going to do it. So his own family members, his cousin and auntie, because I didn't tell my people, leave it so you don't say they're going to be on his case. So his own family members, it's like, are you going to, why aren't you going to do this? Oh, maybe it's time for them to go back to Sierra Leone. And that was in the middle of Ebola.
How do you want them to go back for such...
He wanted them, that's what he told them. So maybe it's time for them to go back. And they said, do you have anything sorted out for them there? He goes, no, God will provide. But the Lord, that's again another miracle God did for me.
And he did provide.
So what could I do? And so the company I was working for was a highly reputed company in the country. So my boss, she sent me with an Arabic speaking lady, Aida, went with me to the I forget what they call it, the immigration place actually, and I went there and we were talking. She explained the situation, and I sat there. My number was 70 something, and at 20 something, one of the officers were called me over, and I'm looking around, calling me.
Is that me? Because my number is
me. So I went over to them, and he said, "What do you need? What is it? Okay." Wanted to stamp me. I'm like, huh? What's going on? And she goes, what do you want us to do? Put the children in the gutter? Come. And God overrode everything.
Oh, God is good.
Yes. And I couldn't stop crying. And these men were walking back and forth between buildings, getting stuff stamped on our behalf. I'm like, look at God. So again, this is God. God's hand on my life. And that was made smooth. And we lived really well. And it was like a dark cloud leaving our home in that moment. And in other instances, this man, like I said, I never let the kids feel like as if they were not, didn't have access to their father. I don't want them to, it's their right. It is their right, regardless. I mean, relationships, I believe, can end, shouldn't, but they do.
No matter what happens, it's still their father.
It's their father. So I did my part. And I would get them to call and he wouldn't respond. And he made it really, really complex. And I noted then, after the fact, that he was probably trying to build a case. Every time he was going to call, he would send an email. I said, don't ask, call. Feel free to call.
Yeah, you didn't have to.
Anyway, so many untoward things happened. But the one that took the cake was... We'd started a tradition with our children that for every birthday, because they were little and they were nearing age, the one who wasn't having a birthday would get something little anyway, whilst the others the one whose birthday it was would get a whole lot more. So they have been on the phone with my son, and my daughter had been on the phone with their dad, telling him what kind of gifts they wanted and then all that kind of stuff, only for the birthday to come. And I received a DHL, the yellow and red thingy, just a letter card kind of thing. And in it was a divorce, a decree absolute.
Is that the birthday gift?
For my son's birthday, he overnighted it from Abu Dhabi to Doha. That was the birthday gift. But what he didn't realize, it was a gift. And he didn't even put a birthday card inside.
This man is incredible.
Okay. But you wouldn't know till he's the Christian guy, he's the nice guy. That's what people see. And I'm a bold person. I'm not confrontational, but I'm not a shrinking violet either.
The birthday of your son, not a card, not a gift, nothing.
And that day is incredibly difficult for me because I didn't just give birth to Ben on that day.
Yeah.
It's also the day of the daughter that I lost. So when that happened, that was like maybe.
And he's the father, right? Just making sure, like.
So that's what he did, and he sent this decree absolute, which means the divorce, and it was dated. This was November 2015, and it was dated December 2014. 8th of December 2014. Now, you know the decree absolute is when the court says that the divorce has been granted. And
did you say 2014? A year? How is that?
Because it was a fake document. It was a forged document.
Oh.
There was the only thing that he had to show for the divorce was just that document. And in fact, the copy he sent to me was printed on a photographic card. You know in back then, I'm aging myself now, where you had the choice between printing on a glossy card or a matte card.
Yeah.
He had it printed on a matte card, a big one. I'm like, dude, if you'd made it on a regular paper, maybe I could have worked with it and gone along with it, but I can't even present it anywhere and it'd be taken seriously because it's a photographic paper. What did you do that for? And then I guess it was just to needle me. And bro, you went on. I said, I've had enough and I'm pleased to be free of you. And so he went.
So he forged the divorce.
He got a fake one. He got a fake one, and he used it. He used it. He got married to somebody in the US using that. He came to the US using that, and so I'm like, bro, either he never knew who he got married to, or he forgot. But I'm not mfufu. I'm not somebody who's from the back of beyond, and maybe he didn't realize that or he forgot. I don't know. And you're leaving me in a country where if I'm going to the doctor as a woman who's given birth, I need to turn up with my marriage certificate.
So in Qatar, you have to do that every time.
If you have a gynecological appointment.
Oh.
Otherwise.
So what happens to a woman who doesn't have a husband, or whose husband is dead, or who
I don't know how they get around it, but for me, they would ask for that, and because I'm thinking you have women who are in Qatar who are not married, never were married, and they have kids. So I'm sure there's a way around it, but for me that happened. And in Qatar, you have what is called an illegal pregnancy. If you get pregnant out of wedlock, it's called an illegal pregnancy, and you have to suffer the consequences for that.
Oh, wow.
That is that serious there. And not only that, when it comes to traveling with the children, you need to have the permission of the other parent.
What?
Yes. Because you have this parental abduction situation. So, and it's not a Qatari requirement. It's the requirement of the countries you're trying to go to. Like if I'm getting a US visa or UK visa or Schengen visa, they want to see that the parent, the other parent, is aware that you're traveling.
So you're not adopting the children.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So, but in that case, the way things were not occurring between us, there's no communication, so we're stuck, kind of thing. So anyway, long and short of it, I tried to regularize the situation back in Syria, and he wasn't even responding because he'd gotten what he wanted. He had
used it to come to US and
he's
got
married, and the woman had a baby.
He doesn't care if you're stuck.
He didn't care. In fact, he wanted us to go back to Sierra Leone. And anyway, so I came to the US and I applied for a divorce while I was in Qatar, for a divorce, and it was progressing through, and then suddenly...
You filed for a divorce in Qatar?
In the US.
Oh, but you were not in the US then?
I was in Qatar. Well, because he was a resident in the US,
okay, so
I could
file for one in the US.
In the US.
Okay.
Because he'd been there for more than 6 months.
Ah, okay.
But what it also meant is that the children could not be included in the divorce decree because they're not citizens of the U.S. nor were they resident there. So the divorce we got then did not have the children in, and the one he'd done before didn't have the kids in them anyway. Well, that one didn't matter. Anyway, dude has been going around telling people that I've divorced him twice. I'm like, and those people who would listen to that and let it land, does it make sense to you? Would America?
How did you divorce somebody twice?
Would a court in the United States of America grant me a divorce if they agreed that we were already divorced? Of course
It's
not.
possible. Yeah,
Of course
you don't
not.
divorce someone twice. How is that possible?
So when I brought the case, he knew to defend it, I guess. I guess it makes sense. And so he was saying all kinds of stuff, all kinds of nonsense that it's not worth me going to the details, and obviously didn't make sense. Now, mind you, he was basing the divorce off of abandonment. Yes.
Who abandoned who? You abandoned.
I abandoned.
How?
Because I moved out of the house.
But he abandoned you.
I moved out of the house. I moved out of the house because we had to leave, because he was told to leave Qatar, and I wasn't going to go with him. Okay. Now,
How convenient.
well, I wasn't against the divorce. I really wasn't.
Yeah.
I really wanted this to.
If only he knew you wanted it anyway.
Well, he knew, but for their own reasons, they wanted to get a divorce that was dated when it was dated.
Which wasn't true.
It wasn't true, and I was like, why did you do that? But I look at it now. First of all, the woman had a baby in the November after less than a year after we broke up. Okay. So we were not divorced. So that's proof of adultery.
Yeah.
You know.
So that's why he backdated it so that.
That's what I'm concluding.
Yeah.
Because in adultery, to prove adultery, you have to catch them in the act or an issue, and so the issue was there. So that's proof that.
So if he had given you a divorce paper dated at the right time, then
the pregnancy would have been already there.
So it means you were still married and you're sleeping with someone and the person is having a baby for you. Wow.
So that's what I deduced. That's why they did that.
I mean that's obvious.
Okay, but in his look, I was so happy to let go. We could have discussed it.
Yeah, just say.
We could have discussed it and look at okay. Now,
don't go the back way. Just say.
And anyway, long story short, and he was like, I used to be sending. I found some emails after that because I'd blocked him. So like in the junk box, mark that date. You abandoned the marriage on the 7th of December. 7th of December. But
Why
then
are you asking me to mark the date? What's so special about the date?
Because you have to establish that somebody abandoned the marriage.
Oh.
That's part of the rules, right? But the thing is, and they asked for the rule book actually in the courthouse in America. You have to have abandoned the marriage for 3 years before you start the petition. So it's a process that takes a minimum of 4 years. Sierra Leonean divorce, based on abandonment. So the other two options is cruelty. Or adultery. Now, cruelty, I could have said that because of the assault, and I had pictures of the beating and all of that.
He was beating you too.
He did it once. It was one blow, you go. That was it happened once. And so I had evidence of that, and I have evidence of adultery. But he doesn't, because to do that you have to show it. So anyway, so he was busy sending them the emails that I had 3 different emails that I abandoned the marriage on the 7th. I'm like, but then what sense does it make for you to produce a divorce decree absolute, the final document? You have to do the petition and you get the decree Nisi, I think, or Nasa.
There's so many processes to get to the last one, and then you just produce that one like that.
Within 24 hours, because the date that I abandoned was on the 7th of December 2014, but the date of the divorce is December 8th, 2014. So I didn't have to do much to prove to the courts that was fake. We had all kinds of other things to.
Wait, but that gets his new marriage into trouble, right? Because
yes. So the marriage has to be annulled, and that's their issue. That's for them to deal with. And I wished him happiness. Whatever happiness he couldn't find with me, I hope he finds it in his new marriage.
So you eventually moved to the US, so where he was or is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that made it easy for him to have access to the kids, right? He could visit the kids because you're in the same country, right? And
okay, now let me take you back quickly. In fact, so there was a time when my son really wanted to see his dad, and what had happened was the person he ended up being with was somebody who had been close to a couple that my kids used to know as grandparents, and through him, right?
So the lady knew you.
Yes. In fact, and the lady. When we went to visit these people who my kids used to know as grandparents, my ex used to call them mom and dad. They're not his biological mom and dad, but when we went to we spent a long summer with them the year we lost my daughter, and that's when I first met this
lady that he got married to.
Her mother.
Okay, her own
mother. Her mother was best friends with the people my kids called grandparents, and so she let it be known to me that she's my relative, so I'm related to that lady, right? None of it matters, to be honest with you, but that was the connection that was there, and later on, so when things started falling apart, mind you. The woman who he used to call mom, as his son. So whatever he said to her, even though she would see some of the things he was doing that was wrong, she would advise him, but obviously he would be by his side. When I heard the rumor that the person that my ex was now seeing, and it was their niece, I contacted them. Not because I cared that he was seeing somebody, but how it would complicate things for the children.
Yeah.
So I contacted them, and the mother was really angry with me, and she was shouting at me, "Where were you when he needed you?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay." And I just let everything go at that moment, because again, I'm trying to do the best I could for the sake of my kids. So I let that go. Now, a year later, they reached out to me, and they were apologetic because apparently they'd gone to church, and in church, because it was announced in church that their friend, which the lady who's my aunt, which is their friend, got announced in church that her daughter had given birth to a baby, and the baby was so, and the last name obviously was my husband's. And that church knew my husband to be their son. So
that's so complicated.
So complicated, and it made them embarrassed. That because the church also had met us. We'd been going, when we came that 8-week vacation, we'd been going to that church and all of that. So they know that he has a wife and kids, and that we'd gone through what we'd gone through, the loss of Amarachi, and then he's with this person who's the family member. It was quite messy. Yeah. But anyway, they reached out, and then, in my view, it didn't matter to me. But for the sake of my kids, I thought, let me not let them lose so many people. They've lost their sister, lost their dad, lost their nanny, and their grandparents, and we're in the middle of not many people living in the Middle East. So just as a rapprochement, I thought, okay, let's come and spend the summer. And I was going to send the kids for the summer to come stay in the US, but they're saying it might not be wise because he may do something without you here. So I spent my big money. I paid for the 3 of us to come and stay with his people in America.
He didn't pay for that. He didn't contribute.
It wasn't communicating with us at all. So I did that for the sake of the kids. And then the kids, my son went up to his grandpa at the time and told him. He said he wanted to talk to him man to man. My boy has always been too mature for his age, and so the father in the family, or the grandpa, I call him. He said, "What if?" I said, "I'm fine." As long as it's somewhere that I know is safe, I will leave. If he wants to come and spend time with his kids here, I'm fine, I'll leave. Because when I came, I took a car at the airport, so I had a lot of freedom. I just did that so that the kids could interact with these people and have the opportunity to see their dad. Well, it was then that they realized that he blocked them. He blocked them, and they're trying to find all kinds of ways.
He blocked them. Wow.
Yes, they were trying all kinds of ways for him to be able for them to get hold of him so he can come to them, and it never happened. And also other stuff happened along the way. It was a lot of complications that happened, and anyway, we left. We didn't get to see the kids. We didn't see them. And so now we're in America. We're living in America.
You finally relocated to America.
And I'll say this to anybody: if he had been a decent father and could have taken responsibility for the kids, I wouldn't have minded to surrender the kids, so that I could find my feet again. Because
maybe remarry or something or whatever. Anyways.
It's not an issue. It's not a priority. It's not a priority.
Okay.
It's not a priority. But just as a single person, I mean, everybody today knows what a challenge it is to raise children. To raise 2 children on your own, or even as a couple, people struggle raising their kids.
How much more one person?
One person. Do you see? So. It's happened so many more times before. It's like, I don't see a problem. If he's in a successful situation with his wife and kids and daughter, let them all go together and they can come visit me. I love my baby's butt. Anyway, we were living, and I got to realize we were no more than 20 minutes apart. And
what does that mean? Like,
where we lived and where he lives was no more than 20 minutes distance.
Was he aware?
Yes, of course he was aware.
So he was coming now to visit, so he had the opportunity to come and visit the kids?
If he had wanted to. No,
you mean he didn't visit knowing you were just 20 minutes apart, just away from...
We were in the US. From the moment they arrived, they communicated with him, and he knew he was there. And a whole bunch of other stuff happened in between where he blames me for it, okay? So...
No, sorry, he was 20 minutes away, not 20 hours. He was 20 minutes away from his kids. He never bothered to come see them, or at least arrange to... He doesn't have to come to the house, like at least arrange to see them?
I mean, full disclosure, things got really, really tough for me. And a dear friend of mine says, Brenda, it's not about you. It's about the kids. And he says, do child support. So I had to make the application for child support. And he got the notification, and we had to meet at the child support office. There, he went with a lawyer, and he didn't want to pay anything. He didn't think he was supposed to. And the reason was, and I'll share the whole story, but the reason was because he was saying I caused him to lose his job. And I didn't know what he was talking about. It was later on that I realized that when we had come, my daughter had found out the school where he was working at. And mind you, whilst he was working in the military, he's a teacher in the international school circuit. When they were living together, she went to the school he was working at, be it in Egypt, be it in Doha. So she found him, and we were in a very dire situation by that time. We were living out of a motel. That's how bad things had gotten for us. And so she was finding ways out, and she found out that he was working at a private school. And anytime they reach out to him, he blocks them on WhatsApp. So she sent a message to the school telling them that she is his daughter and something like that. And what was received was something from him sending a message to her. The school never responded to my daughter. Was my daughter, sending a message to my daughter, not nice stuff. Let's put it like that. And following that, there was a lot of anger, and my daughter reached out and told the school to find out why he was let go from his job in the Middle East. Okay? based on that, he was let go from his job. Not only was he let go from his job, he lost his teaching license for Maryland.
In America.
In America. Anyway, so I found out that he lost his job and that thing at that meeting at the child support that he went with a lawyer. And the lawyer said to me, after finally agreeing to what they had, the child support office had said he should pay, the lawyer said to me, well, now how are we going to communicate for visitation? Mind you, we'd gone through a whole bunch of other things with the kids where I had warned them that with this, according to the law of the land, he has a right to see you guys, whether you like it or not. He has a right to see. So be prepared that that's going to happen. So I told them. So I went there only for when the lawyer brought it up about visitation, he went like this. And the lawyer asked, what do you mean?
Like, he doesn't want to see them.
The lawyer asked, what do you mean? And he said, well, for his peace of mind, it doesn't have anything to do with the kids. He said that in front of his lawyer and in front of the lawyer that was representing the child support office.
Wow.
And me. That's what he said. But that's not the first time. That's not the first time he made it clear that he wants nothing to do with his kids. When we were in Nigeria, my dear friend, may God rest his soul, late Ambassador Henry Macaulay, he called me, so he came over to me and we had a conversation. He's like, Brenda, the kids need their father. Look, I'm not stopping him. Anyway, so he went all out to reach out to him. He didn't respond to him. But a lady, which is his cousin actually, who he'd sent a message to the kids that if they needed anything, that's who they should communicate. Not him, but to this auntie of theirs. Wow. And so that's the auntie this late Henry communicated with. And that lady was able to come back to Henry to tell Henry that that man says that he wants nothing to do with them until they're 18. So
where he doesn't have anything to do again. He doesn't need to pay anything.
No, that was when we're still in Nigeria.
I'm saying, he's saying wait until they're 18. By the time they're 18, the kids are adult. He doesn't need to support.
I suppose. I didn't even think that far. But that was what. So he told that to his cousin, who told that to Henry, who told it to me. So that was that. Okay. The message he sent the kids was when we were in the Middle East, and again I was communicating with an old friend of my mom's who happened to be friends with his own family as well, and she was saying, oh, that man says you're blocking him from his kids. I said, that's not true. That's not true. He can talk to him as much as he wants. Here's the number, blah 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 blah. So long and short of it, I got them to communicate. Francesca, my daughter, was not interested. My son was still looking for that man in his life. And so my son was reaching out, and my son was so excited. Mommy, this is the best day of my life. I said, I'm thankful for you. Now, I knew how I felt. I won't lie, but it's like,
of course, you wouldn't want to stand in the way of your son.
No, I mean, I'm thinking, that man does not deserve all of this adoration. That's how I felt about it. But I wasn't going to tell my kid that. And so 3 days after, he sent a long message. So in that message, he was pointing out the fact that also, did the kids know about all the crimes I had committed in America? And I'm like, just
you have committed.
Yes. And then he knows all of the stuff that's gone on in Qatar. So he's just piling this child.
This is a 10-year-old boy.
He was saying all of these things to this, and I'm having to unpack it. I'm like, no. It's like, and then he said about how he knows all the bad things my son had said to his mother, which is the grandmother. The last time my son saw the grandmother, my daughter was still alive. They weren't 3 years old yet. The last time they saw her. So it was a lot of things. It was just. And that's what he does.
He's supposed to 3-year-old boy.
So he just throws out a whole lot of nonsense, and that's how he does. That's what he does. And then anyway, at the end of it, it's like, oh, this is tough love. Sorry, but I'm going to block you. You're not going to be able to contact me. If you need anything, contact this auntie. So that's how come that's the lady that gentleman had to talk to.
His own son.
That's what he did. And then he said, tell Francesca.
Oh, his heart must have been broken.
He's devastated. devastated.
He was so excited.
So happy, so excited. He was devastated, and the next couple of days was really horrendous in the home. And my heart was broken. I was extremely angry about why would he do such a thing to these children. And that's when Henry came onto the picture. He'd been helping me out with Francesca being in boarding school in Nigeria. So when she was back, so when this thing happened, because I think this was happening during the COVID thing where Francesca had to come back to Qatar while schools were being held online. And so I reached out to Henry and says, okay, don't worry, I'll be there. And since then, until he passed away, he'd been really present for the kids as their uncle. So yes, he did that, and then he'd sent another message that I had left Francesca, giving her a bit more, responsibility or trust. Okay, if you want to, you can block him. If you don't want to, that's on you with your dad. With Ben,
It's your choice.
it was her choice. With Ben, I blocked it so that he wasn't
too young.
It was too young, and that was it. He literally was devastated, and he said it. The message he sent to me when he forwarded it to me, he said that, and so I blocked the one on Ben. But he sent Francesca another message, and that child was so angry, and she carries a lot of that anger to this day, and we're still working on that. And her thing was
explains her military way of doing things.
well, yes,
have this.
And her response was like, you have the one person who's taking care of us. You are doing all of these things to, and you want to decry this one person. You're not there for us, and so she was quite angry. And anyway, so that happened then, and then. When we finally got to America, after that situation at the child support office, and it's a good thing when I came home, I said, well, this is what he said. So you're let off the hook. If you didn't want to see him anyway, he's not expecting you to.
Yeah.
But not too long after that, we belonged to the same community. So we went to an event where we were sat at the entrance because I'd had to leave to go to work. And so he came in with his wife. And that man walked past the kids like as if they were furniture. I have to deal with the fallout of that psychological wound.
And the kids recognized him, saw him.
Of course. And that was the first time they were seeing him since 2015. This was in 2022, I think.
Like how many years?
Yeah.
And you walked past them?
7 years plus, yes. And you just walked past them. Like that, and that wasn't the only time. And then later that year, another event that we all met at, and in fact I was working, so I was very, very tired. I wasn't going to go to that event, but then my daughter calls me and said, guess who's here? So I jumped in the car and I went, because I didn't want her to do anything untoward. But it's the same thing. They pretended they didn't see.
The wife too, and she didn't do anything. She didn't correct him. She didn't.
No.
He's going to do the same thing to your son, so your child.
There's a girl they have. But their dynamic is for them to deal with. And I it's not for me to cast aspersions. Yeah. God only knows what stories he's had to tell her. Yeah, there's that. Yeah. But she knew what she was going into, because she happened to be the niece of his mom and dad. So she knew he was married to me. Yeah. She knew that we were not divorced when they got divorced. She knew what they did was dodgy. She was party to that. Yeah. Anyway, for whatever reasons, he may have convinced her into it. I don't know. Yeah. But one thing I do know,
we don't even want to discuss damn issues.
So one thing I do know is that my own role in things. One thing that's important is my own role in things. You had people who were saying, "Oh, Brenda, maybe you need to talk to her," and so all that kind of stuff. So what I did, I had a one of my big sisters. She's my cousin, first cousin, and she's not happy that I did that. But I thought I feel good for doing it when certain things had been happening, and so I noticed that the wife had been visiting my LinkedIn page. Okay. So I sent her a message and I said, for the sake of the kids, mother to mother, for the sake of the kids, let the kids get to know each other. Let's see what we can do. Like an opening. And she's like, don't talk to me, don't ever contact me again, Brenda Career. I'm like, fine. Now,
so why are you visiting my page if you don't want to have anything?
exactly, and
Are you a monitoring spirit?
well, whatever her reasons,
Monitoring?
whatever her reasons were,
Uh-huh.
I noticed her. She was there, and that's why I sent a message to her on there, and that was the response I got. Now, my cousin's like, you shouldn't have bothered. I'm like, my conscience is clear.
Yeah.
Nobody can say
there's an evidence, and nobody could say that. Oh, you're trying to block the kids from this family, and So there's.
So I did everything possible.
Yes, you did.
So my conscience is completely clear in the sight of my children,
And in the sight of God.
in the sight of God, yes. And all of the folk that he was saying all of these stories about me too, because like I said, it's an easy narrative. The divorced wife blocks the kids from the father. That's the stories you hear all the time. The children don't have a relationship because the woman talks about. Even some of the stuff that he sends to me legally, or he wants to know all the times I spoke negatively about him to the kids. I'm like, do I have to say anything? At this point, do I have to say anything? You choose not to see them. You choose not to interact with them. When they do, you block them. And I have to say something? My kids are super smart.
Yeah.
Please. No, I don't. And I tell you what really irks me. Really irks me. That he even imagines that I have time to think about him. to do these things.
Is that important?
No, bro. I have to work hard to stay upright, to progress for myself and for my kids. So for that reason, I don't have time for you. I don't have time for that. So
there's so many other important things in my life that I want to do and think about and not focus on you.
And you know, let me say this as well, and it's been said many times. The person you choose to marry is such a massive impact on you, has such a massive impact on your life. It can make or break you. Now, I'm far behind from what I ought to have been at this stage in my life because I was married to such a person, and that left the responsibility of raising kids and educating them completely on my head. You know, so it could have been different. And there's a psychological impact that it has on the kids. I mean, if your own father repeatedly rejects you, you know, and that's one of the things coming from our culture. You have the stories that said, oh, after all, it's their father. And I'm like, okay, you know, you stop that right there. If at this point nobody has been able to convince him, after all, they're your kids, then at the time when he might need them, it is nobody's business to influence that. Now, on my part, I have told them, if you love me, if he needs you, and you're in a position to do something from him,
Please do it.
you can go ahead and do it. If you happen to be in a position or in a place where they are saying something that's not pleasant around him, you know, and is there, please stop them. Because it's not about you or him, it's about you and God. Because the commandment, the only commandment that comes with the promise is that honor your mother and their father and your father. It doesn't say if they're good to you. You know, and that was something.
I love the fact that you're bringing that to them, and so that's a good one.
And the fact of the matter is, there's something I brought to him when we were married. He didn't have much. How do I say? He didn't value his relationship with his biological parents because they weren't people of means. And they said, oh, they didn't do much for me. They didn't do. I'm like,
and that's enough for you to not to value them?
Well, that's what it appeared to me, and I will say this with all my heart. I insisted that on a monthly basis he gave them something. We never had to do anything for my dad. By that time, my mom had passed away. My dad was okay insofar as my siblings were taking care of him. When the time came when I was working, I did my part, but I never took from my husband to do anything for my dad. But I used to insist that he'd do for his mom and his dad. And if he wouldn't, I did. I would make sure they got something on a monthly basis, and I would put things in arrangements in place. He had no value for that relationship for his parents, and I used to use that same commandment to him. It says honor your mother and your father, and it doesn't say if they're good to you. So if I could tell him that,
how much more your kids? How
much more my children? So this is the reason why. I mean, and we have a lot of issues. I'll say this on the ground as impacting the kids and myself and where he's concerned and his family is concerned. But nevertheless, time might be a healer, and situations might change, and they might come in contact with him. And when that is the case, that's how I want them to address things. And also, I have made them promise me that they will be there for their sister, the half sister.
Wow. Just wow. Just oh my goodness. What? You don't look like what you've been through.
Yeah.
But anyway, there are people right now who are currently going through the same thing you're going through, especially with marriage, you know. And they're having so many challenges, and they're like, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know if I can get out of this. What would be your advice to them?
My advice would be give everything you can. Because as I sit here today, my conscience is completely clear. I did absolutely everything. I was going for prayers. I was the fasting. I did everything I could to rescue my marriage. And it didn't work. What I do know is that we're told that when we have certain kinds of challenges in the marriage, we're allowed to leave. And we need to leave for our lives, especially when violence comes into it. And we may not see it as violence, but if we have an unfaithful partner, it's violence that could come through illness, through sickness. So,
or even death.
And death. So, for the sake of your children, people are saying for the sake of their children, sometimes you need that help to take care of them. But if you can get out of it when it's too bad, for the sake of your children, because you're showing them the way they need to go forward in life, I would say leave.
Sometimes it's even for your own sake, because you need to be alive to take care of your kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I got kicked into diabetes around that time, and a whole bunch of stuff happened to me because the stress was crazy.
Yeah.
But if I was to give any advice, is that time to leave, God will show you. As long as you stay faithful to God and God stays faithful to you. That's the story I've had, I can say. And as bad as things may appear on paper, He carried me through. There's this poem about, walking on 2 footprints on the sand. And when it gets to the point where there's just 2 feet, just a pair of feet, you think it's because He left, He's carrying you through. And that's what happened to me.
His own footprint. He just carrying you.
He was carrying me. And that's why I don't look like my troubles. That's what people say. And I have a lot of joy. A peace of God that really passes all understanding.
all understanding.
Yes, that's what I've got. So
wow.
If you're going through it, sis, pray about it. Do the best. Give all of yourself to God. Trust Him, and He will guide you. He doesn't want you to die. I beg. He doesn't want you to die. I beg.
Wow, amazing story. And wow, like I can't just get my head wrapped around. Especially when you knew he was sleeping with the nanny, and you still live in the same house with him and her, and then you're moving your ass. Like
she was one of them, and she would even complain, like, "Ma'am, how do you deal with?" So she gets jealous too.
Someone help me here! Like,
I was living in drama. Oh yes.
We're not even hiding the fact that we're sleeping, and then she's asking, "How do you do it?"
They also they weren't hiding.
Oh my God! Jesus, help me.
Look, I got to the point where I told him, it's an embarrassment to call you my husband. When I go to places, I'm in church, I don't know who's laughing with me or at me because of you. So no. Oh no.
Oh my goodness.
I don't need to be called Mrs. that badly.
Yeah, like, come on.
No, thank you. It's okay. It is
well. You had special grace on your head.
I'm thankful I have my kids.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
For coming here, for sharing your story. And I know that there are thousands of people around the world who are saying, look, how do I get out of this? They're just seeing you with your personality, the way you're smiling, after everything you've been through. I know that people who watch this will say, I have hope.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if this woman can come out of this fire,
oh yes,
still looking this way, there's hope for me. There's hope for me. Thank you so much. And
Thank you very
why
much.
I do what I do, to share testimonies, real life testimonies of people, so other people who are in different part of the world thinking, I'm alone in this, you know.
Oh, you're not alone.
You're not alone.
We're not unique. The men we deal with, there's men a dime a dozen, but for the grace
And
of
it could
God.
be the other way around. It could be the wife.
It could, yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the way it is.
Yeah.
You know. But God remains faithful. So
He's faithful.
it's absolutely.
No matter what you're going through, God is faithful. And He will see you through. I know that at the time it seemed like it's too much. I can't bear this. You know, I'm not going to get through this. But He's faithful. Just don't give up on God.
Yes. Don't give up, because He doesn't give up on you. He takes care of you when you don't even realize that's what He's doing. But thank you so much, Anita, for having me.
Thank you for being here. God bless you so much.
Thank you.